All right, it is Monday. It's November. Who knew?
Oh, wow.
And I'm here with Alyssa Farah Griffin.
You mean it's Christmas season?
I mean, is it for you? Are you one of those?
We're literally, my husband and I are fighting about it right now. I want to put the tree up immediately. He thinks it's disrespectful to Thanksgiving, which is a favorite holiday of mine. But I just feel like the Christmas season is the best time of year and it's too short.
My daughter's just constantly hitting me with the "It's Time" memes from Mariah Carey. And
she's defrosting.
She's defrosted. She's out. They want Christmas music. I am holding firm. No Christmas music till Thanksgiving. I believe in it. They do it when I'm not in the house now. No decorations. I agree. Fall is a season.
You sound exactly like Justin. I want to then decorate for Thanksgiving. Maybe I can get some Thanksgiving garlands. I just need something to give me the vibe.
Yeah.
Because now I'm changing out of the Halloween decorations and all I have are a few pumpkins.
My house has decorations for everything constantly. We have I'm Italian and we have St. Patrick's Day stuff. It's everything you can think of. But
that's how I'll be with kids, I hope.
No, definitely. But I think you need a little bit of time for Thanksgiving. It matters.
It
does.
Thanksgiving
matters.
It does.
Also, I think Christmas is more impactful in the short burst.
No, I always feel like it goes by too quick. I honestly think it is a truly magical time.
It is. I love it.
It makes me feel so amazing every year. But that 25 days is not enough.
All right. Well, listen, it's when the baby comes.
Well, and actually, I guess I'll get a full month. I'll do the day after Thanksgiving through New Year's.
No,
okay.
Tree comes up for me. I mean, as soon as Thanksgiving hits, I'm in. Tree comes up that weekend.
That's my compromise.
Yeah, it's a big.
Not waiting till December 1st.
No, and wait till are you going to have elves? There's a lot of stuff to decide with your kids. Yeah. It's a big thing, and it's very intense. I am the master of Christmas specials, so we can talk about this. I can give you a full when you watch each one.
I love that, and I'll start with the classics, and then you kind of work your way to the newer ones.
You still need your Rudolph and your Charlie Brown and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll get into that later. The Grinch.
This year, Binky will enjoy it in my belly, but then next year,
we
all
warm
the classics.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, but let's get started with another big holiday that's tomorrow. Election Day. Oh my
You're
gosh.
going to say Marjorie Taylor Greene Day.
Well, it's that too.
She's also on the show.
We're going to get to that, believe me. But for tomorrow, it's Election Day, and there are some big races that many say are going to really shape the 2026 midterms. Yeah. What are your predictions? Do the Democrats have a good day? Is it?
Yes, I think overall the Democrats have a good day. I'm thinking New York centric because I live outside the city, but
sure.
Mamdani's going to pull it off. I think it's no question at this point. For Cuomo to even get more competitive and make it a real tight race, you would have needed Sliwa to drop out. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to create for the Dems a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to have a young leader who seems like he's kind of adopted this voice of a generation, the economic struggle, the populist message. But on the other side, Republicans are really ready to take him on. They're going to want to go into the midterms in 2026, basically saying every moderate Dem in a swing seat who's up for re-election is a little Zoran Mamdani, and they're basically a democratic socialist. They basically want free everything and so on. And
that's what they did with Bernie back in the day. What they did with AOC.
They'll make him kind of the new AOC in many ways. Mm-hmm. But I think that's going to be a big landmark one to watch because there are national implications to it. But Paul Begaglia made a good point. Who's a friend of mine, CNN guy, old Clinton guy, and knows Democratic politics very well. And he said, there's this notion right now that the left wing of the Democratic Party is really thriving and that's the future. It's the AOCs, the Bernies, the Mamdanis. He says that may be the case, but then look at New Jersey, where you've got Mikey Sherrill, very likely, in my opinion, I think, to win the gubernatorial contest. And that's someone running as a consummate moderate there. Now, granted, New Jersey's very different. It's leaning more purple than it would be blue than New York. But he makes the point that there's actually a number of big moderate Democratic victories that have happened in recent years. So to not overextend in thinking that a Mamdani win means that the progressive left is the only future for the country. You still have to be able to win those purple states. And then look at Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, who I think represents a more moderate centrist Democratic vision in a purple state like Virginia, who I do think is going to win. I like Winsome Sears. I've met her on one or two occasions, but she flamed out throughout the election. She was unable to clearly define herself as an individual. I think she's got Trump drag in a state where he's down by 10 points in terms of popularity. And I think it's very likely going to be her.
And if it goes that way and all three of those Dems win, I guess Cuomo's technically a Democrat too, so take New York out of it. But does that really herald something for the midterms, do you think, or is it too early?
It's maybe too early, but it will be a pep in the step the Dems have needed because they haven't clocked a lot of wins lately. And I think it'll be a little wake-up call to the White House to just remember, like, you are the White House for the entire country. You are the president for the entire country. And you cannot risk alienating, especially moderates and independents who decide elections ahead of the midterms and just doubling down to the far right. But listen, the midterms, it's so far out that it feels weird to even be saying it, but I guess they'll effectively be a year away tomorrow. There's still a lot to say about how they'll go. I think Democrats are favored on the generic ballot, but you've got these gerrymandering contests in Texas and in California. You're going to have more Republican seats, most likely in this next election, than you did. So Dems are going to have to do better than just flipping a handful of seats. They're going to have to make better margins than they were expecting to take back the House.
Well, so let's move on to something you referenced before. Tomorrow is a big day also because we have Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene with us tomorrow.
Words I never thought we'd say.
Not on the bingo card
Yes.
at the beginning of the year, but I'm excited to have her here.
I'm too.
What are you interested in hearing from her?
I'm genuinely excited to have her on. The table, listen, has had a lot of criticisms of her over the years, myself included. And we're going to ask tough questions, but I want to be substantive with her and really focus on policy because in the last few months, she's emerged as this sort of having this independent streak as somebody who's seen very much as part of the far right MAGA base of Trumpism. But she's broken with him on releasing the Epstein files. She's been a squeaky wheel calling for that. But then she's also front and center in the government shutdown by arguing we have to extend these Obamacare subsidies. And I watched her on Bill Maher this weekend, and I thought she was incredibly thoughtful when talking about healthcare. And she brought up that her family alone saw their premiums absolutely skyrocket because of the end of these subsidies, and that's going to impact millions of Americans if we can't find at least a short-term solution until we fix the broader problem. So I don't know. I'll be really curious. I want to hear from her directly. I don't want to make assumptions without having spoken to her because I've never actually met her. To my knowledge, I haven't met her. I don't think I have. But I also think I reminded myself she was elected in 2020. So this is actually her first year serving in Congress with a Donald Trump president. And I've found, having worked for a lot of members of Congress, it's actually easier to be sort of an oppositional figure to the president in power. So she was in Congress under Joe Biden and criticizing Democratic policies and talking about, how hard things are in the country, how much people are struggling when you had a Democrat in office. I think it's hard when you're hearing from the very same constituents now that your guy's in office and to just be like, no, everything's fine because it's my guy in the White House.
Right.
So it feels like there's this intellectual honesty that she's showing. And if this is truly being this sort of shift in her is being driven by her being responsive to the needs of her constituents, I applaud that and I respect it because as a member of Congress, those are the people who pay your salary and who elected you and who you need to be responsive to. Nobody else, not who's in the White House.
Yeah, and I respect her wanting to come on the show because she's had things to say about us too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been both ways. But I think by all accounts, she's interested in coming on and having a substantial conversation, which is great.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping to do. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully everyone will tune in, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from that, this is kind of a hot topic we didn't have time for today. Actress Jennifer Lawrence, who I'm a big fan of.
Me too.
She was on the Interview podcast from the New York Times, and after being vocal during Trump's first term, she says she really doesn't know if she should continue to speak out on politics anymore. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Celebrities do not make a difference whatsoever on who people vote for. And so then what am I doing? I'm just sharing my opinion on something that's going to just add fuel to a fire that's ripping the country apart.
So she goes on and she continues to say that she doesn't want to turn people off from her work because of her political beliefs. What's your take on that? It's very introspective, I think, in a way that a lot of celebrities aren't always.
That was exactly my thought is it takes a certain level of humility. By the way, she's a phenomenal actress. She's one of my favorites. But to recognize that as a celebrity, yes, you have the privilege of having a voice, but you also to recognize you may not be swaying massive opinions. I think I'm guilty to some degree of thinking that celebrity endorsements, certain ones, would matter more than they in fact do in elections. But my general take on are celebrities obligated to speak out on politics is you're obligated if you feel called to do so and you feel you have something to say. I remember like Jimmy Fallon at one point was getting criticism that he's just not as political as some of the other late night hosts. I'm a big Jimmy Fallon fan. But I don't think that he feels personally that he has that same calling that somebody like a Kimmel or a Colbert does to be weighing in on politics. And I think it's this unfair pressure that we put on people who decided to become comedians, decided to be great actors, that, oh, you also need to have a strong viewpoint on all matters of public policy. I think if you feel called to, if you feel like there's a group you want to speak out on behalf of, absolutely. But I don't think it should be an obligation if it's not authentic to you and to your voice to say something.
I guess the argument for people is I have a platform. I have people that listen to me. And I said this on the break between you and me. Like George Clooney was actually pretty impactful.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he moved the needle a little bit in getting people to speak out against Biden running again.
The platform part is important. Well, but I would also say Clooney, I think, is in a different category because he's a decades-long Democratic donor and somebody who's engaged in politics, both in front of and behind the scenes.
But is it possible to just be a celebrity and not feel like you have to do this? I think it is.
I think it is. I think I understand the pushback, though, if you have the privilege of a platform. But again, then you run into... here's what I like. Like, I loved how many Hollywood actors spoke out against agents wanting to sign this like AI actress, because that's something they felt like, we know this industry, it's our people, and we need to advocate for those actors coming up who don't have the big platforms that we do, and we could speak about it with a real expertise on it. I loved when actors weighed in on the writer's strike, on different things that like they have a specialty and a knowledge of it and their voice carries weight on it. I'm for actors speaking out, or celebrities in general, on politics if they feel moved to, but I don't think they have to feel obligated. They don't.
Well, it's so interesting because of our show. I mean, we have a show that talks about politics more than most talk shows, daytime or late night, frankly. And, I think there's a feeling out there that if you're on The View, you're going to talk about hot topics, you're going to talk about current events. And the truth is, that's always up to the
totally
guest.
Is.
It's not something we push them to do. If they're interested in doing it, of course, we're interested in having those conversations. But it's never something where
they're obligated.
Absolutely not.
I also, because I don't know if I realized that when I first started on the show, and then producers shared that with me. I am impressed, though, how often, when given the opportunity, celebrities want to take the time to say something political and to make a statement.
Right.
But I like giving them that option, because at the same time, like, they're there to do a job, and I don't think we should force them into something.
No, of course. And there is examples of conservative celebrities that we have on this show, and we say to them, do you want to talk politics? Do you want to talk about this in the same way? And if they don't, they don't. And and there's plenty of liberals that don't want to either. It's totally fine. Yeah. And frankly, sometimes it's a relief to just talk about someone's movie or their kids or anything else. So,
but my gut with someone like Jennifer Lawrence is you can hear it in the fact that she's talking about it with this level of like sophistication and introspection, that she is passionate about it, which makes me think she will eventually speak out against politics again.
I used to produce her when she was on David Letterman, and I produced her before she became like a gigantic star, and then afterwards, and she was just so down to earth and cool. She just did another, maybe it was the same interview where she talked about how like she cringes at her old interviews because she was trying to be like, herself in a way that is easy to mock. But I just thought she was the nicest, most real person.
I love when I hear that celebrities I love are actually like, because I haven't met her, but are really nice and lovely in real life.
Yeah, me too. And unfortunately, there's examples of the other one.
Correct. I keep a list.
All right. Well, speaking of celebrities we like, we had professor and podcaster Scott Galloway here today. He wrote a book about what it means to be a man in modern America. One of the things he said is that when women don't have a relationship, they're fine. They pour that energy into their friends and their work. And that when a man doesn't have a relationship, he pours it into conspiracy theories, porn, and misogyny. What did you think of that?
So, okay, I'm the biggest Scott Galloway fan, and I always love when we have him on. And something with him, because he's used to long form, like as a professor, as a podcaster, as an author of books. With him, I always tell the table beforehand, I'm like, let him finish his point. Because he could say something quick that comes off like, oh gosh, what is he saying? But when he gets to the tail end, you're like, that's absolutely right. So he used this analogy that I loved, that he's like, Beyonce could be working in a McDonald's and she would turn out fine. You flip it with Jay-Z and he would not. But there is something to that where I've been the single working woman. I didn't actually have cats, but would have if my apartment had allowed it. And I was fine. That didn't mean I didn't want a partner. It didn't mean I didn't want a husband and a family down the road, but I was fine. I have seen it with men in my life, friends, family, etc., who, if they don't have economic viability and they don't have romantic relationships, how it can really eat away at them. I think we are wired so differently. I'm also seeing this with myself in this like phase of motherhood that I'm in, or becoming a mother, I guess I should say, that it's not a disrespect to men, but there is just a difference in the sexes. And the stats are unbelievable. I've rattled them off on the show, but men are in a point of crisis. And to address it and talk about it never means to tear down women or to push them down. We still have so many disparities, so many things where women need to be elevated. We need more representation in so many fields. But to recognize that something is going very wrong with especially young men right now, I think is important. I loved how he talked about mentorship, men being present in the lives of women, in the lives of younger men. Really fascinating.
I have to say, I'm much more functional married and in a relationship than I was when I was single. I mean, my career was fine, but I just feel like general happiness and everything else.
My husband's exactly the same. Completely. Was generally always successful, did very well. Would have been fine being single, but he is a better man in a relationship. And I'm also a better woman in a relationship for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But there is a distinction there.
Speaking of your relationships and relationships in general, there's a trend among millennials and Gen Z women to not take their husband's last name when they get married. They're questioning why they have to give up their identity just because they get married. I mean, that's a reasonable conversation, I think. You kept your maiden name and Justin's last name. Yeah. What went into that decision for you?
I wrestled with this so much because I felt like Alyssa Farah was a name that I was proud of. I built my identity and my career around it. Everyone when you talk to political people, they still just call me Farah for the most part. They don't you usually add the Griffin because they know me in that context. And so I struggled with the idea of like, if I take somebody's last name, are people not going to know who I am? Are they not going to associate it with me? And am I like giving up something of myself? And I came to the conclusion, my friend Kristen Soltis Anderson, who's guest hosted on The View and is a CNN contributor, I got the idea from her of hyphenating it because she was a super well-established political pollster before, then got married. And she's like, people will figure it out. Just add the other name and that's like a good, happy place. It also I felt strongly when it was the right person, I wanted his last name. And with a kid coming, I want to have the same last name as my kids. So I felt like that was a good in between. But I think this is totally a result of women getting married later, frankly, because if you get married at 23, it doesn't really make a difference. Your name is just something like you might have feelings about, but no one knows who you are most likely unless you're exceptional. But you get married at 30 and it's like, oh, you've got like a history and a resume and people who know you professionally. So I think it's more just a result of that. But I'm pro the three names, like keeping yours and then taking your husband's.
Now your son will have
He'll be just Griffin.
Just Griffin, no hyphenation for Griffin.
I liked the idea of working Farah into if we have a girl next, like maybe as a middle name, but no, he'll just be Griffin.
Or first name.
Yeah, true. Actually, very common.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Although
that feels very self-aggrandizing. Yes. And meet Farah Griffin. Like,
well, I'm Alyssa Farah Griffin and Farah Griffin.
This is fair. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
She didn't get the Alyssa part yet.
Well, it's funny. It was important to me that my wife took my last name. She was up for it, no problem. And she had a good last name. She was Austin.
Oh, it's good. But Teta's a good last name.
I don't think it is, but I appreciate it.
I had a college boyfriend with a weird last name. That's also a struggle if you don't like the last name.
Yeah, no, that can be really bad.
Yeah.
I have one friend who had a 3-syllable last name and married another 3-syllable last name, which is rough. But now that I have daughters, I don't want them to give up Teta. I want them to be and I'm the last of my line. I need them to keep it.
I do think it's more common. My mom, actually she didn't, but I think it's more common now to make women to make their last names their middle names once they get married.
That's what Heather did.
Yeah. So you're not giving it up completely.
No, she's now Heather Austin Teta.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Austin's a great name.
Austin's a great name. And if we had a son, maybe that would have been there too. How was your Halloween weekend?
It was a mixed bag.
Oh, no.
I think I told you my husband surprised me with this beautiful little spa getaway. We decided we don't need to do the trick-or-treating thing. It's our last year without kids. So we left candy out and got away to Connecticut and brought the dogs with us. But Desi tore his ACL on the first day of the trip.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he's going to be out for the season.
How did he tear his ACL? Would they go out for a long pass? What happened?
He was zooming with Herbie and like the ground was a little bit frozen because it was a little colder up there and he just came down super hard on it. So we were in the ER. Then we went to another vet and came back a day early. He's going to need surgery, but it's not for a month. So he's, just getting comfort care right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I am so attached to those dogs. Like, I was a mess. We didn't go to any of our dinner reservations. We just stayed in the room with them the whole time. And still was wonderful. I mean, we got room service and cuddled dogs. Like, you can't complain.
No, that's a good weekend.
Yeah, it's actually a great weekend. I just felt so bad for the little guy because you realize, like, there's ways you can't communicate with them.
They
And
don't
I'm just,
know.
I'm trying to be like, you're going to be okay. We're going to get you absolutely
Poor puppy.
everything you need. He's so cute. I was kind of hoping they'd give him a little cast, but I guess they don't for ACLs.
No, I guess not. Oh, maybe like an air cast or something?
Yeah, right. How was your Halloween?
It was good. We had kids over and everything else. There was a lot of, we talked about it on the podcast last week. There was a lot of talk about whether I was going to torment my daughter.
Did you torment her?
I did. I decided to do it last night. I was not going to.
You wait till after Halloween so she thinks she's in the clear?
Well, she didn't know it was coming, but she was kind of talking back to her mother about a paper she had to work on. And I was like, you know what? She was coming up the stairs, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this right here. So she came up the stairs. I turned the light off in my bedroom, left the door open, and just stood in the doorway wearing the Michael Myers Halloween mask. She screamed at the top of her lungs, ran down the hallway into the bathroom, slammed the door, and started like, that was not okay. That was not okay.
That would have been exactly my reaction as well. I overreact to being scared so badly. And then once you like gather yourself, you're like, oh, okay, I took that too far.
And I think I won points with her mother for standing up to the sass.
Well done.
So that was good. And I did have to promise that I'd never do it again, that I wouldn't leave the mask anywhere that you could see it, or several other things.
It holds up. It's still so scary.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, I'm sure I'll get paid back, though. Don't worry. Well, thank you for joining me today, Alyssa. Tomorrow, I'll be back with Joy, and we'll do a postmortem on the Marjorie Taylor Greene interview, and we will see you then.